No conflict in United States history has taken more American lives than the Civil War, fought from 1861 to 1865. It claimed the lives of an estimated 620,000 to 750,000 soldiers, a staggering number that exceeds the combined American deaths of World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and later conflicts. This was the war that killed more Americans than any other, and its impact still echoes through the nation today. The Civil War began not as a sudden explosion, but as the final collapse of decades of tension. Slavery lay at the center of the conflict. While the northern states increasingly opposed its expansion, the southern states depended on it economically and socially. Political compromises temporarily held the Union together, but each new territory reignited the argument. By the time Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, trust between North and South had vanished. Southern leaders believed secession was the only way to protect their interests. When the Confederate States of America were formed, the Union faced an existential crisis. War erupted in April 1861 with the firing on Fort Sumter. Many Americans expected a short conflict. They were disastrously wrong. What made the Civil War so deadly was the collision of old tactics with new technology. Soldiers still marched in tight formations, as they had for centuries. But they now faced rifled muskets and artillery that could kill at far greater distances with deadly accuracy. Medical science lagged behind the scale of destruction. Infections, not bullets, became the greatest killer. Battlefields like Antietam, Gettysburg, and Shiloh turned into slaughterhouses. Antietam alone, fought in a single day in 1862, left more than 22,000 casualties. Gettysburg, a 3-day battle in 1863, produced over 50,000 dead, wounded, or missing. These were not isolated horrors. They were repeated across the country for 4 long years. Disease ravaged both armies. Poor sanitation, contaminated water, and crowded camps allowed illnesses such as dysentery, typhoid, and pneumonia to spread rapidly. Surgeons worked with limited tools and little understanding of germ theory. Amputations were common, often performed to prevent deadly infections. Survival was uncertain even far from the front lines. Civilians also paid a heavy price. Towns were destroyed, farms burned, and food supplies seized. Families endured constant fear as sons, fathers, and brothers marched off to war. Many never returned. The emotional toll was immense, leaving grief in nearly every household. The human cost weighed heavily on President Abraham Lincoln. He read casualty reports obsessively and visited wounded soldiers whenever possible. Witnesses recalled him sitting silently in military hospitals, absorbing the suffering around him. The war tested his resolve and his spirit, yet he remained committed to preserving the Union. As the conflict dragged on, the meaning of the war changed. The Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 transformed it into a fight against slavery. Nearly 180,000 black soldiers joined the Union Army, adding both strength and moral purpose to the cause. Their service was critical, but it also exposed them to brutal discrimination and danger. The war finally ended in April 1865. When Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, the Union was saved and slavery was abolished. But victory came at an unbearable cost. The Civil War left scars that would never fully heal. Entire regions were devastated. Millions were traumatized. The nation emerged transformed, but haunted by the memory of its dead. The war that killed more Americans than any other stands as a warning from history. It reminds us of the price of division, the dangers of unresolved injustice, and the fragile nature of unity. It's what a tragedy born from conflict within. Its lessons remain as urgent today as they were more than a century ago.